Good morning. We're going to take another trip up north today. My in-laws have a campsite booked in Two Harbors, Minnesota. My daughter's at summer school. I'm going to pick her up about 9:45. We're going to head up to Duluth, meet Grandma and Grandpa, do some playing around up there, then camp on the shore of Lake Superior in Two Harbors, and just do a day up, day back trip. Should be pretty simple, but we'll take you along with us. I just got a car wash, which was desperately needed, and now I got to pack up, get everything ready, so when I pick my daughter up, we can just cruise. So I'll see you on the road, and let's head to Duluth. All right, left home with 94% at 9:40. Running a little late to get Joan from school, but of course packing and everything took a little longer than planned, but we should be there in a couple minutes and then be on our way. Okay, for real, we're leaving home at 10 a.m. at 92%. Let's go. Some starts and stops there, but we're finally on our way up to Duluth. Picked up Joan from school, then had to run back home because I forgot winter jackets and stuff because the lake can get cold, especially overnight, so want to make sure we're prepared, unlike last time where we just had shorts to work with. I would have had this all packed up last night, but last night I was installing the Starlink, but that's another whole video that should be up on the channel already by the time this one airs. But Starlink does seem to be working well so far, and I'm excited to play around with that a little more once we get home. Like our last trip up here, it's saying we could get up to Duluth with like 28%, which is great. We could continue then all the way to Two Harbors without charging. But I know we're probably going to need a restroom break in the middle, so we'll plug in at Hinckley just because we can. I believe there's also charging at the campsite, so we'll see what the situation is there. I brought the mobile connector, but again, there's superchargers up there. We could get by without it, but there's supposed to be a supercharger going in Two Harbors, so I'll see if I can find online where that location will be, and see if we can scope that out while we're up there as well. But going into Minneapolis, we're hitting a snarl of traffic with people driving absurdly slow in some of the lanes, so I'm going to focus on that and get us up to Duluth. We'll see you in Hinckley. You ready to go see Grandma and Grandpa by the big lake? Yes? All right, 104 miles in. We're stopping for a potty break, 46%, and we'll catch you in a couple minutes. 4B or not 4B? Holy cow, we got a nest back here. We've got a big nest back here full of all our blankies and pillows. We don't need those till tonight. Let's get your shoes and socks back on. Let's walk to the car. Let's go, go, go. Charger filled up a little bit. A couple new cars since we got here. But we're well charged up. We're into the 80s somewhere. Just did a restroom stop, grab some snacks. And now we're going to get some nuggets and be on our way. 104 miles. We're at 85% at 11:48. Just flipped over to 49. Let's hit the road. We're just coming up the final hill, coming up till we start going down into Duluth. We had a very pleasant drive today. Not a ton of traffic on a Thursday morning. Really beautiful Simpsons or Bob Ross clouds coming up here, maintaining a steady speed of between 75, 76, depending on the cars around me. But we get about 12 minutes till we get downtown and meet up with Grandma and Grandpa. We're going to be at about 53% at that point, so plenty to just hang out, do whatever driving we need to, and get to the campsite tonight. Didn't take any extra time at Hinckley. I used the restroom. We changed Joan. I wiped a bug off the windshield, and we got going. So we did get some snacks and stuff in the gas station, but pretty quick stop there, and then had our nuggets on the way. It's only about an hour from Hinckley to Duluth, so a nice short jump, and so it's a good spot to take a break. But we'll get downtown, we'll get to the lake, and start having some adventures there, so we'll see you there. We parked at the convention center, then met Grandma and Grandpa for a boat cruise on the Vista Star. We found a table on the main deck, and went between there and the bow of the boat for most of the cruise. Fun to get this perspective of the bridge opening. I'll throw in a little time lapse here because it's pretty cool. Out in the lake, we did explore the other levels and got a great view of Duluth, but the back had a pretty strong diesel smell, so we didn't hang out back there too long. After a loop, we crossed back into the harbor. The rest of the cruise is in the harbor, and it's pretty industrial, so not much to hold Joan's attention, but still nice to be out in the water. Back on land, we walked along the shoreline rocks and the path to the beach, where Joan could have spent all day playing in the rocks. We waded in a couple times, but Lake Superior is frigid, so that didn't last long. But the beach was warm, and it was a perfect afternoon. On the way back to the cars, we stopped for dinner at the Canal Park Brewing Company and had a terrific meal. Not cheap, but considering where it is, it's reasonable for what you get. We are headed out from Duluth, going north up the north shore of Lake Superior toward Two Harbors. We're in the very slow residential stretch. We arrived in Duluth with about 53%. And that held the whole time. We parked in the deck, the Duluth Entertainment Center parking ramp, kept the cars there all day, so it was covered, which was nice, cooler than having the sun beat down on it. So now we're headed up to Two Harbors, which is only about a half-hour drive. We shouldn't be burning too much juice. Gonna find our campsite for tonight, get ready for night to fall here, and enjoy the lake however we can see it from there. That's the plan. We're going to hit the faster stretch here on the highway and get moving. We'll see you in Two Harbors. Well, there's the view for the night. We got up to here with 42% and 208 miles. So going to get set up and see how we're going to do this. So I forgot to shoot B-roll for this while we were camping, but I did want to take a minute and show you how we set up the air mattress, how we power it. So first we'll drop the seats. Seats lay down relatively flat. And this air mattress actually has some kind of pillow sections built into it. So it's you have a little more height under your head than back here. So here you can see it's the aero bed, but it's got the compressor built right into the air mattress. And just simple inflate, adjust, or deflate controls there. Really slick, but obviously if something happens to the whole bed, there's a puncture or something, then the inflator is wasted as well. So that's the only downside for it as an air mattress, but it is pretty comfortable. And because the plug for this mattress is up here, I could use the outlet in the center console of the front, but I kind of like to have everything that's going to be back here stay back here. And you can see already that this is a little too wide for the Model Y. Inside the back hatch in the side well, there's a 12 volt, what used to be called a cigarette lighter outlet there, and I have that port for a very cheap little plug here. That's what we'll be using. I'll plug this in, get it powered up, and then I'll plug in the air mattress. And we're good to go. We'll get this plugged in. So here I've got the controls on the bed, and I'm just going to turn it to inflate. This is pretty quick, but you can see as it fills, it's going to start getting too wide for the vehicle, especially as the hips come in there. And so it starts to kind of arc. So this is a little too much, but once you get in here and start laying on it, it does kind of crush down. You can adjust with that dial to take a little more air out if you want to. And then for overnight, I do unplug it and unplug the inverter just in case. It's nice to have everything disconnected. So because this is so plush, it is really comfortable, but it also takes away one of the biggest advantages of the Model Y, and that is it's so deep, it takes up a lot of the height space. It's more similar to car camping in my Model S that didn't have this extra height just because we're up so close. Now something maybe 3/4 this high, once you're laying on it, might be a little bit better. And I know there are other products out there, but this is what we had and it was free to use. So, and I would say this is probably 6 or 7 inches. Obviously a little less when compressed, but it does take up a good deal of space, especially when you get up here in these pillow sections. They are nice and firm, so even though there's a little gap between here and the seats, you feel like you've got some support. Here you can see that height once you have it fully inflated in the front. You're almost laying right by the windowsill there. We didn't use anything on the ceiling to block out the light. It was fairly dark there, no real big external lights. So we were able to see the stars right through the ceiling, even though there is a tint on the ceiling. That was pretty cool. And obviously we didn't have the cord laying across there while we were sleeping. When we first put this in, and you can see it's kind of done it again here, is that it's kind of bulging out. So the automatic door might not want to close. You might need to help it a little bit. Oh, there it did. So got it far enough in this time. And then to deflate it completely, you do have to power it back on. And it deflates in just about the same amount of time. Pretty quick, folds up very conveniently. And now back to the regularly scheduled video. A great location, but this campground is dense. It seemed like most sites were about 30 by 30 with maybe a tree between you and your neighbors. Everyone was respectful and friendly though, but I'm glad our site was on the lake. After getting the bed set up and the car plugged into the 120 volt plug, Joan and I went down to the bank to the lake to play for a bit. But the black flies were so thick we went back to camp before too long. I didn't film much as we just had quiet family time while the sun went down behind us. Alright, we've got camp mode on at about 45%. We're plugged into the 120 volt plug here at the campsite. Gonna get some sleep. We're right on the lakeside here, so that's good, but I'm guessing sunrise is gonna blare in that back window, but we'll see what's going on. I've got a very squirrely girl I need to try to get settled down into bed, so I'll check in the morning. Like that campsite? It's pretty cool, isn't it? Despite my best efforts, Joan was too excited to sleep, so she played with the back light for hours, giggling at her reflections in the window and the ceiling. I took a screenshot to mark the time when she finally fell asleep. But she was up a couple times after that briefly too, so I wasn't thrilled when I woke up at 6:30, but at least I got some quiet morning time to have coffee and explore a little while she slept in. An amazing, calm, quiet morning with the warm sun making the perfect temperature. I sat enjoying it over coffee, then hiked along the shore and then out to that point. There's more beyond it, but I didn't want to go too far. Here's the view looking back from that point to our site. When I got back, Joan was waking up and Grandma had breakfast ready to roll. We had time before checkout, so Joan got to play for a while before we packed up. From the top of the playground, you could really see the density of the campground, all of the campers and RVs, along with another group I'd seen that morning from another section, all of them plugged in and running AC and other appliances throughout their stay. It reminded me of the anti-EV argument about how the grid won't be able to handle the switch to electric vehicles. There's a lot of power being pulled here in close proximity, but a little planning makes it work. Ironically, we were only using the 120-volt plug, so far less than the 30-amp TT plugs the campers used. About that other plug, I had an experiment I wanted to try. It's about 10 in the morning. We've gained 10%, just trickle charging. That was with running camp mode all night. Pretty simple there. I'm going to try this other adapter that I don't think will work, but we'll give it a shot. Here is the normal NEMA 1450 plug. Here is the adapter for, I think, what will work with this plug type. Goes to 1450, but I don't think this is grounded right for actually charging. So before we leave, I'm going to just test it, not because we need it, just because if it doesn't work, I can give that away. So right now, we're just using the 120 plug, but it's upside down, so I had to kind of weave it around here to make that work. But let's try the other plug and see if we get anything. So we've got this plugged in. I can't tell if it's just too bright or if there's nothing going on there. But we'll try plugging in and see how that works. And looks like nothing. So I'll give that adapter away since it doesn't work for this. In the app, you can see the red cord and charging error message. I think in the shadow you could see both the charger and the handle showed red as well. Good to find out now instead of in an emergency. Alright, good morning officially. We are running through Duluth, headed back southwest now. Had a little bit of a tough night getting sleep last night, but beautiful morning to wake up. Only downside is the black flies were crazy and any exposed skin was going to get bit. Even with bug spray on, we were still fighting them off. So definitely would recommend wearing long sleeves, long pants, lightweight fabrics for the heat, but anything you can do to keep those flies at bay is definitely recommended. Even down by the lake, when we were just on the rocks, they were still swarming around us. We tried to get in, just, go in knee deep, and it was just bugs everywhere, which was unfortunate, but it was beautiful view, nice place, decent facilities. Happy we had that nice view right on the lake. Fans of EV Dave will be happy to know we had a great Scottish breakfast this morning. And I believe it's across the street from the spot where the new Superchargers in Two Harbors are going to be as well. So I'll double check that and show you on the map here. But excited that more North Shore Superchargers are going in the future. But now we're headed back slowly toward home. We're going to hit the Great Lakes Aquarium. Grandma and Grandpa haven't been there yet, so Joan's going to show that off. We're sitting now with 44%, plenty to get to Well, there's a supercharger here in Duluth, but there's also one in Black Bear, which is, 20 minutes away, or probably even all the way down to Hinckley if I wanted to drive slow. But we'll see how that goes. We made it to the aquarium, and this time I remembered to shoot B-roll. You see people on the lower level through the windows? And as we get rolling toward home, I want to say a huge thank you to Joan and Mitch for inviting us up and treating us to these fun couple days. All right, leaving Duluth with 42% after 237 miles. Well, Joan, did you have fun with Grandma and Grandpa? Did you have fun going to the aquarium? Yeah? We'll have to do that again sometime. Are you getting hungry for nuggets? Yeah, all right, we'll get some nuggets at the top of the hill, and then go to get home. All right, headed up out of Duluth. We went up the hill a little slower than normal. We had my grandparents behind us, and they like to stick pretty close to the speed limit. So we're trying to hang together there. At the top of the hill, we got some McDonald's nuggets for Joan. But interestingly, on the navigation, when I plugged home in from the aquarium, it was saying, don't bother stopping until Hinckley, and you'll get there with 4%. And I thought, okay, I'm fine with that. I figured once we got up the hill, it would kick us over to Black Bear Casino in Carlton, because it's closer, a V3 station, and I thought, yeah, we're probably going to need to do that. But by the time we got to the top of the hill, it was saying that we would get to Hinckley with 7%. I found that pretty surprising, but they did say they've reworked how they're calculating wind and temperature and things to be more accurate, and we've got a pretty strong headwind we're going into. And I can feel that kind of throwing the car around. But we're about 31 miles in, and at 24% battery, it was saying we would get there with 6%. Now it's down to 5 because I had somebody tailgating me around a semi, so I had to bump the speed up and bump it back. I'm feeling very comfortable with getting to Hinckley above 0, so that's good. And it's been so long since we've had the car down in that 5% or lower range. I'm thinking we probably have a pretty good buffer. Time will tell, and you don't want to push it, especially with kids with you, but I've got pretty much zero concern about getting there. So we can always slow down, we can always draft if we need to, but just surprised it didn't kick us off to Carlton, and it's saying, nope, you're still good to go. We'll see how this goes. We're just cruising. It's a beautiful day, about 86 degrees out according to the car. Been trying to drive in chill mode more. I tend to accelerate pretty fast. Maybe I don't need to do that. The consumption graph says we've got 47 miles of range left. and it's saying we have 41 miles to go, so we should be all right. We'll see how this plays out. Hope we don't have too big of an adventure, but we'll see you in Hinckley, if not before. It's estimating 20 minutes here. We're at 5%, 2 o'clock, almost 90 degrees. That stop will probably take us about 20 minutes, but that will get us home. We'll see. I'll check in afterward. So that shouldn't take too long, especially at this low state of charge. This is only a 150 station, but we should ramp up pretty fast. 94 is a good start. We'll see where we go. Couldn't precondition because we were so low, but it'll be all right. I don't know if you can see that, but we're still cruising at 112 kilowatts, just cranking. So that's awesome, but I bet we're about done. I just got Joan buckled in. Looked like it said we're ready to continue the trip, so gonna unplug here and probably get home with a good buffer. So far we've gone 313 miles. We're at 56%. It's saying we're gonna get home with 11%, so that's more than enough. Let's get rolling. Pretty quick stop there. Didn't add really any extra time. Then it took us to use the restroom, grab a snack, get Joan changed and back in her seat. We'll have that time of the stop up on the screen. Friday afternoon is a good time to be going south. And some of the B-roll, you'll probably be able to see that the interstate going north up toward Duluth is just insane. It's bumper to bumper. There's several sections of stop and go traffic, so glad to be going this direction, even though this is a lot of driving going up and back, one day after another. But we had a fun time while we were there, and we'll still get home, I think, about 4 o'clock with somewhere around 10%. I like that the car's saying, hey, you'll be fine. You can make it there with 10%, with 5%, whatever. Getting us in and out of chargers faster, making good estimates. So really happy with that. I'm sure I'll have some other thoughts when I'm back home. My brain's starting to get a little fried, so glad we're only about 36 minutes away from home. Not a lot of sleep last night, so looking forward to making our way through St. Paul and down home. We are home with 9% at 4:07. Went 413 miles, used 123 kilowatt hours, and an average efficiency of 298 watt hours per mile. So we'll wrap up back in the studio. Joan, are you happy to be home? Yeah. All right, let's get inside. Not too much to wrap up here. Our total of 413 miles was really pretty easy over 2 days, and although our cumulative time for stopping to charge seems long at 41 minutes, really that was 2 stops that we would have had to make anyway, and we didn't charge any longer than our time getting snacks, using the bathroom, that kind of thing. So very simple stops. Anything we would have had to do there, we would have had to do in a gas car. So no problem. With those supercharger stops and our trickle charge overnight, we replaced 100% of the battery. But because that trickle charge was free, we were able to do it with just the supercharger costs of $25.83. So pretty good for over 400 miles. And this route, again, is so easy in a Tesla. There are so many chargers we just passed because we didn't need them. And again, they're putting one in Two Harbors, so that would make it even easier if we needed it. But next week, we're going to do a bigger challenge, and we're going to charge just using CCS and the Electrify America network with the adapter. And that's another overnight car camping trip, and there's going to be some crazy stuff. So look forward to that next week. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that so you don't miss it, and like and share while you're at it. Just go ahead and do all this stuff. But thank you once again to Joan and Mitch, my in-laws, for inviting us for this great couple days on the big lake. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Happy road tripping, and I'll catch you in the next one.